Off the coast of Shanghai, a ghost fleet lies at anchor. Hundreds of the world's largest cargo ships drift in silent holding patterns. Their holds are filled with the lifeblood of the modern world: semiconductors. Billions of dollars in advanced microchips, destined for China's sprawling electronics factories, are now going nowhere. This isn't a storm or a strike. This is a deliberate, calculated move. Deep inside a bonded customs warehouse, a single, decisive act is repeated. An official's hand slams a red rejected stamp onto a shipping manifest. This isn't a random inspection or a bureaucratic error. It's the front line of a new economic reality, a policy enacted with chilling efficiency. Each stamp represents millions in foreign technology, now barred from entry, a signal that the old rules of trade no longer apply. The shock waves hit global markets instantly. On trading floors from New York to Tokyo, screens flash red. The numbers are staggering. In just 12 months, China has slashed $65 billion worth of foreign chip imports. For years, Wall Street and Silicon Valley bet their futures on China's demand. Now that foundation has crumbled overnight, leaving executives in emergency meetings staring at charts that all point down. The motives behind this move, a response to escalating tech sanctions from the West, are becoming clearer. But the real trillion-dollar question isn't just why they did it, it's what comes next. What does a world look like where China no longer depends on foreign technology, and what happens to the global economy when its biggest customer decides to build everything itself? This is the question haunting boardrooms and governments worldwide. Back at the port, the silence is deafening. Stacks of crates labeled semiconductors sit untouched. Forklifts, once buzzing with activity, are now idle monuments to a broken supply chain. This paralysis is the physical manifestation of a single stark statistic rippling from San Jose to Seoul. China's semiconductor imports are down 15.4%. It's a number representing tens of billions in vaporized sales. There was no warning, no gradual slowdown, just a sudden, sharp severing of a critical artery in the global economy. For 2 decades, China was the world's largest semiconductor buyer. Now, import volumes have fallen over 10%. With value collapsing at the steepest pace since records began. In just the first 9 months of 2023, import value plunged nearly 20% to $252.9 billion. The shockwaves aren't staying in China. Intel, Qualcomm, Nvidia, and Samsung have all reported weaker revenues tied to the slowdown. And here's the twist. Instead of rushing to fill the gap, China is also scaling back purchases of chip-making equipment. Industry data points to a 6% drop in 2025, halving its global share from 40 to 20%. On paper, it looks like a retreat, but deep beneath the surface, something else entirely is happening. Since October 2022, US export controls have blocked China from buying advanced chips and the machines to make them. The rules were sweeping, designed to actively cripple China's ability to manufacture high-end semiconductors for military applications. Leveraging the Foreign Direct Product Rule, the US extended its reach, blocking any chip made with American technology from reaching key Chinese firms. The aim was to stall progress in AI, supercomputing, and high-end manufacturing. In response, Beijing initiated a massive, state-coordinated effort. Chinese firms have re-engineered supply lines, aggressively replacing foreign components and seeking new partnerships with nations not aligned with US policy. They stockpiled parts, creating a buffer, while Beijing poured billions into domestic R&D. This whole-of-nation approach creates a powerful paradox. The pressure designed to slow them down has ignited a fierce drive for self-sufficiency. In the long run, the US strategy might inadvertently be speeding them up, accelerating the creation of a technologically independent competitor. Publicly, China is doubling down on its Made in China 2025 goal of chip independence, framing it as a matter of national security. Privately, it's lobbying Washington. The key request: access to critical high-bandwidth memory chips, or HBM, which are essential for training the large language models that power modern AI. This reveals a crucial vulnerability that persists despite the push for self-reliance. It's a calculated mix of public defiance and private outreach, a sophisticated strategy designed to keep rivals off balance. People are a critical part of the plan. In a burgeoning talent war, Chinese chipmakers have launched an aggressive global recruitment drive. They are quietly hiring top-tier engineers and seasoned executives from industry leaders like Taiwan's TSMC, Samsung, and US giants, offering exorbitant salaries to acquire their invaluable institutional knowledge. This strategy is chipping away at foreign technical advantages, and the results are beginning to show. Domestic output is rising. up nearly 7% in 2023 to over 351 billion units. While the most advanced chips remain out of reach, many are older mature node chips. These are the unsanctioned workhorses of the global economy, powering everything from cars to home appliances. By scaling up production, China not only fills vital gaps sanctions can't touch, but also positions itself to dominate a foundational layer of the tech world, creating a new form of global dependency. But what if the import crash wasn't a wound, but a strategically pressed reset button? Analysts suggest this wasn't weakness, but a calculated pause for Beijing to clear stockpiled inventory and recalibrate its procurement strategy. The evidence? Just months later, the floodgates reopened. In early 2024, imports surged 10.4% year-on-year, hitting $385 billion. But this wasn't a blind buying spree. A closer look reveals a highly selective approach. Integrated circuit volumes jumped 14.6%, focusing on specific mature node chips essential for industries like automotive and consumer electronics, areas where China aims for dominance. This wasn't a random recovery, it was a precisely timed maneuver. And for foreign suppliers, this volatility creates a painful whiplash. Take NVIDIA, the titan of AI chips. After Washington tightened export controls on its most advanced GPUs, the company's China data center revenue plunged from 21% to just 5% in a single quarter. The message was clear. The most lucrative market segment was now off limits. Similarly, Taiwan's TSMC, the world's leading chip foundry, saw its China revenue share drop. For these global giants, the writing is on the wall. Relying on the Chinese market is a high-stakes gamble. The urgent new mandate is diversification. They are scrambling to build new fabs in Arizona, Japan, and Germany, desperately trying to de-risk their operations and escape the gravity of Beijing's policy shifts. Yet for all its progress, China remains critically vulnerable in key choke points. The most significant is extreme ultraviolet or EUV lithography. These machines, produced exclusively by the Dutch firm ASML, are the only tools capable of etching circuits on the world's most advanced chips. They are the gatekeepers to the future of computing, and Washington has successfully pressured the Netherlands to block their sale to China. This is a technological Achilles heel. Another is the invisible architecture of chip creation, electronic design automation, or EDA software. This market is dominated by American firms like Synopsys and Cadence. Without their software, designing a modern semiconductor is virtually impossible. Despite restrictions, China's imports of these tools remain high, with over $1.88 billion worth flowing in during 2024, often through complex supply chains routed via third countries to circumvent controls. This places Europe squarely in the crossfire. The continent is home to critical players like ASML, which, before the latest restrictions, derived nearly a third of its revenue from China. For European leaders, it's a geopolitical tightrope walk. On one side, the lucrative Chinese market and decades of economic integration. On the other, immense pressure from their primary security ally, the United States, to align on tech restrictions. Brussels pushes for strategic autonomy, trying to carve out a third way, but in the zero-sum game of semiconductor supremacy, neutrality is a shrinking space. The fundamental truth remains: control the tools, and you control the trajectory of the entire digital economy. The irony in Washington's campaign is that it's a response to a self-inflicted wound. In 1990, the US dominated global chip manufacturing with a 37% share. Decades of offshoring hollowed out that industrial base, which has now dwindled to just 12%. This is precisely the share that China has painstakingly built up from nearly zero, and Beijing isn't playing by the same rules. Fueled by massive state subsidies and a national directive for self-sufficiency, new Chinese chip fabs are coming online at a relentless pace. They are focused on mature node chips and are willing to operate at a loss to undercut competitors and seize market share. This isn't just business, it's a state-sponsored industrial conquest. Because this battle is about far more than economics. Semiconductors are the silicon backbone of modern power. They are essential for guidance systems in hypersonic missiles, for the vast data processing required by intelligence agencies, and for the AI algorithms that will define the future of warfare. Leadership in AI is impossible without access to the most powerful processing hardware. This is why the conflict is so intractable. Both Washington and Beijing see technological independence as a non-negotiable matter of national security. Yet, they remain entangled in a complex web of mutual reliance. It's a paradoxical state of de-risking while being unable to fully decouple, a fierce rivalry locked inside a fragile, codependent relationship. So that 15.4% drop in imports, it's not just a number on a spreadsheet, it's a tremor, signaling a fundamental shift in the tectonic plates of the global tech order. The era of a single, seamlessly integrated semiconductor supply chain is likely over. We may be witnessing the birth of a bifurcated world with two competing tech ecosystems, one aligned with Washington, the other with Beijing. Whether this phase marks the true dawn of Chinese chip independence or is merely a strategic pause before the next conflict, depends on the next moves each side makes. But one thing is certain, this fracture in the global semiconductor trade isn't healing, it's deepening, widening, and hardening into the defining geopolitical fault line of the 21st century. You've been watching Geoscope, where we break down the forces reshaping our world. If you found this insight valuable, hit like, share it, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.